Now to the impeachment showdown and a pivotal week ahead. Speaker Pelosi is promising to send articles of impeachment to the Senate, setting the stage for a historic trial. ABC's David Wright is at the White House with more on what to expect. David, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. This is set to be a momentous week here in Washington as the impeachment process resumes after a brief break over the holidays. House Democrats are expected to discuss impeachment at their caucus on Tuesday, and after that, the full House will vote to appoint managers for the case, and they will then vote to transmit the articles of impeachment over to the Senate. That means that the soonest an impeachment trial could begin in the Senate would be Wednesday. For now, Speaker Pelosi appears to have lost her effort to convince Senate Republicans to allow witnesses in the trial, but there is still some room for that to change if they can convince 4 Senate Republicans to break ranks.
And David, Senator McConnell has said that he wants to use the Clinton impeachment trial as a precedent here. Does that give us a sense of how long President Trump's trial could take?
It gives us a possibility. That trial began almost exactly at this time of year, January 7th, and it was over in just over a month. There were a couple of days for the managers to present their case, among them a young Congressman, Lindsey Graham, a few days for the president to mount a defense, and all of this presided over by the Chief Justice. You see him there, William Rehnquist at the time. No witnesses at that trial, but we did hear some video testimony. So this time it takes place against the backdrop of the beginning of primary season. That could cause a problem for the 5 Senate Democrats who are normally out on the campaign trail. Dan?
All right, David Wright at the White House. David, thank you very much. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is going to make an exclusive live appearance on ABC's This Week later this morning, and our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, will be conducting that interview. George is here now. Good morning, sir. So we've also got new numbers this morning from our ABC News Ipsos poll asking about Nancy Pelosi's decision to hold off sending the articles of impeachment. The numbers show that Americans are split between whether this was an attempt to ensure a fair trial in the Senate or whether it was Nancy Pelosi simply playing politics. What's your take on these numbers?
Well, like everything else in our politics today, it shows a partisan polarized split. I mean, just about everything that happens now in Washington is filtered through that kind of a partisan lens. So I guess that split isn't very surprising. And it's true that Speaker Pelosi appears to have decided to send forward these articles without getting these upfront assurances that witnesses and documents are going to be seen in the Senate trial. Now, looking forward, the one place where you actually see more than a partisan split is on the question of whether or not witnesses should appear at the Senate trial. 70% of the American public wants those witnesses to appear. Is that enough to get those 4 Republican senators to vote for witnesses? We'll know in the coming weeks.
Do you have a sense at this point?
It's really hard to know. So far, Mitch McConnell has held his caucus in line. On the other hand, you've seen Mitt Romney say he wants to hear from John Bolton. Susan Collins, a Republican senator from Maine, told the Bangor News this week that she wants to hear from witnesses as well. Will that reach a critical mass? A lot will depend on what happens in the arguments in the trial going forward when it finally does start, either later this week or early next week.
People will be eyeing Lisa Murkowski from Alaska as well. While I have you, let's loop back to the situation in Iran. I know you have the president's national security advisor on the show this morning. What's your sense of where things stand at this point?
Well, it appears that after the Iranian strike in the middle of the week, that the tension between the United States and Iran had calmed down a little bit. But the fact that this airplane has gone down and you're seeing these protests in the streets of Iran right now are a real complicating factor. You saw President Trump tweet out this morning support for those protesters. What happens if the regime goes down? Will they lash out in other ways and in other places? A lot of unknowns going forward.
All right, George, thank you very much. Always great to talk to you on a Sunday morning. And I want to remind people that George has a very big show this morning. As discussed, he's got that exclusive one-on-one live interview with Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Plus, after that week of tensions, more than a week of tensions, really, with Iran, George is going to speak with the National Security Advisor, Robert O'Brien. That's all coming up on This Week later this morning right here on ABC.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.